Hi guys, Eric here, No Shin Kenpo San. Today we're going to go over our basic hook punch, okay? We'll go over it high, we'll go over it low. The main thing about the hook punch is that it's very, very square, okay? You don't fling your arm around like you see a lot of people doing when they don't know how to utilize their body weight. An arm punch is just you flinging your arm, your body's not behind it. You may hurt somebody if you hit them, but what you're really going to do is probably break your hand and miss your target. You might hit something else that's much harder, hit it wrong, broken hand. You might miss altogether, throw your balance off, probably do a crash landing. It happens a lot. Just watch a lot of YouTube videos or anything. You see these guys are super sloppy. It's definitely the most powerful circular punch that you'll have. You can do it short range or long range. If you do it short range, you're going to be very square about it. So what you'll have is you'll kind of chicken wing your arm up. Just like the other videos. Here, here, here. It's okay. Choose your guard. They all have their use. What you're really looking to do is you're looking to bring your arm up like this, and then your elbow will pop up so that you're flat. Top two knuckles, two biggest knuckles. They're the ones doing the hitting. This is a very square movement, okay? It's not out here. It's right here. It's a different type of hook when you bring it out here, okay? Right here is where you want to hit. Like this is where you put, this guy is pretty much in your face. If you come any closer, it'll turn into an elbow. So what I usually tell people is that a short hook is throwing with you and trying to hit with your fist, but throwing an elbow. So if I throw an elbow, this is what I call an elbow clip. It goes directly across the face and it glances off their chin or whatever. It's not trying to hit square. It's trying to hit the tip of the chin. Because anatomically, you hit the tip of the chin, that jaw will dislocate most likely, but their head will swivel. So you don't want to hit anything that you would consider a solid object with something like a hook, because the head is harder than the hand. So if you hit further behind with something like this, you may win, but you'll lose your hand. Okay? Most likely. Some guys are conditioned enough that they can hit a bowling ball and the bowling ball will break before their hand. Well, that's different type of conditioning. But what you're really looking to do is you're looking, I'll just drop this hand right here. I'm just looking to do this. All I'm doing is I'm popping my elbow up once I've squared my punch out, and then my body will do the follow-through. This is what I'm doing. It's square. Okay? I'm standing square. So square punch, square stance right now. Up, and then pivot, and watch what my feet do. And that will drive my fist across your opponent's face. Okay? I don't need to swing and then not use my body. Okay? You have to use your body to deliver the fist, not the other way around. Most people have this issue where they throw their punch and they let their punch pull their body into it. That's completely backwards. That's not utilizing your body weight. You need to use your body weight to push your punch out. Whatever the punch it is, starts with the twist and ends with the strike. Same thing applies to kicks. Start with the twist, end with the strike. Okay? Don't get it backwards. A lot of people do that. They train incorrectly. They do the pull motion instead of the push motion. Okay? So, here, and I'll do this from Kyokushin stance, and I'm going to bring this up just as part of the exercise, okay? Once you get good at it, you'll put these two together like they're completely inseparable, okay? So I'll go 1, 2, come back, drop. See, in that sequence. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Then I'll do this a little bit quicker. 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay? You want to make it into one move. A bunch of components that fit together so perfectly they become one technique. Okay? Just like that. When you take a bunch of techniques and you put them together in a combination, the combination becomes the technique, and then the individual techniques become the components of that technique. So that when you do a sequence, It's one movement. Different tempos, but not stopping the flow. It becomes one technique. But it's jab, cross, hook, uppercut. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4 components. Okay? Just to give you a reference. So I'm here, and I want to go twist. You have to boost. If you don't boost, no power. Okay? I weigh over 200 pounds. How much of that body weight is going into this one little point here when I strike? That's a lot of body weight per square inch. It doesn't take that much to knock somebody down. Okay? Just from pure shock, it takes a few ounces of pressure, sudden pressure. Someone's going to get knocked down. It's about how sharply you do it. If you do it really blunt, then you're not striking, you're just shoving. And when you're shoving, they'll just get back up, and they'll be mad. And then you really have a fight on your hands. Okay, so I'm here, and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? You can do it with the hands like this. Cross check, cross check, cross check, cross check, or cross guard. You can do it like this. I just bring it up like an uppercut, and then I turn it over. Okay? I'm going to have the inside of my fist, I call it the inside hammer fist, where my thumb is going to be facing my nose or just below it, my mouth, because that's the targeting range you're going to use. Okay, so if I'm here, I'm going to go 1, drop back, 2, drop back, 3, drop back, 4, drop back. Okay, see what the range that I'm at, from here to here. Okay, not out here. Different movement, best used with gloves, because you're also wearing hand wraps. You hit somebody like this, you better know what you're doing, because if you hit like this, you're going to break your wrist if you're not careful. So you want to hit these knuckles right here, just like that. Now, a lot of people like to throw their hook like this high. That is no good. That puts a lot of unnecessary pressure and impact pressure on your shoulder and your wrist. Okay? So if you hit like this, if you're out here, it's a little bit safer. That's where you get the longer range from. Okay? So you'll hit with the knuckles on a vertical level. Here, okay, that's a little bit better, but not here. Okay? Not down here when you go vertical with your strike. Okay? So the ribs or the internal organs, so liver and kidney and anything along these lines, liver, spleen, kidney. Okay? So if I do this, I'm going to go lower. A lot of boxers will say don't do this, but hey, you know what? In the fight, they do it too. Drop your hand like it's a hammer and then turn sideways. Okay? Drop, turn, come back, bring it back up. Drop, turn, up. Drop, turn, up. Okay? And it becomes this. Fairly simple. You can do it like this, low, but you got to be careful with that because it's the same problem as doing this high. It puts a lot of pressure on the wrist that's not necessary when you make impact. Okay? The best time to do something like that is when you're in your reverse stance. If I'm here, I can do this, or I can do this, because I'm actually structurally very sound. From my lead side, this is better than this. Can you do this? Yes. If you're conditioned, you can do this. But I find it a lot safer and more productive to do this. There's less stress on me. When I go higher, I want to keep my knuckles, my second knuckles to the floor, my thumb to the floor. When I do it lower, I like to keep my second knuckles and my thumb to my stomach. Okay? Just like this. And that's a lot of impact. Same thing applies when you do a shovel hook or things like that. Not today. We're not going to do that. So, if I go for the head of the body on this, like I say, it's a great target. It's all anatomical. I know exactly where I'm going to hit, and I know how hard I'm going to hit. You know, it's not as much of a guessing game. Am I going to get a reaction the same way I get a reaction out of an opponent? Of course not. You actually won't get much of a realistic reaction with a sparring partner, too, because you're not hitting them full force. You're getting a simulation, okay? When you spar, as opposed to when you really fight, is comparing paintballing to a real gunfight. They have a lot of similarities, but they are not the real thing, even in competition. So there's a lot of important elements that you learn from sparring. There's a lot of stress control you learn from sparring. None of it compares to a real fight. None of it. Okay? You're only getting a baseline for what you can handle. And then the experience of the fight itself is the real test. Hopefully you never have to do that. But you can't predict that. Since you can't predict that, be prepared. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Okay? And if you don't like that, that's not my problem. Because the real world doesn't care about what you think the real world should be like. It's been around longer than you. It's going to be around long after you're gone. And you aren't changing those rules. So be prepared. Okay? So, if I'm here, I'm going to do this from lead side first. Because you can do a hook from lead or reverse. And a lot of people forget that you can do a good short hook from reverse. And it's important to know because that is a super scion-powered punch. Okay? So if I'm here and I'm talking to somebody and they decide they want to get touchy-feely in an aggressive way, and my hand is here, it's going to be straight across. And the idea is to clip his chin, not hit him like he's a solid piece of wood. Okay? Clip his chin. You want to follow through and let his head swivel. It's all in your hips and pivot. Everything else is structure from your hand and your elbow and your shoulder. My hand is down. I can do it from here. Real easy because when my hands are down here, by the time the punch happens, this is as far as my hand's going to get. It's probably not going to get all the way up here. If it does, that's cool. I'm not here to predict that kind of thing. I should have had my hand up. I should have had that. No, my hand's going to go where it's going to go. That's why you train it, so you don't have to think about it. Okay? So if I'm here and he decides he wants to do that, this is not about protecting your face. This is about having the quickest draw to the next punch. This without a glove on, and sometimes even with a glove on, is still not going to protect your face. This is just so you can send the weapon out quicker than if it was here. But if you can do both, you got double the advantage. Okay? So the same thing applies if I go to my reverse side. See, I'm in my bladed stance. I'm still like this. And he doesn't want to be cooperative. He wants to be aggressive. Maybe he pulled a weapon. So when somebody pulls a weapon and you have no choice but to go through, always attack. Do not defend as everybody thinks. You don't grab the weapon or whatever. If you do, that happens. It's happened to me. I got scars on my hand because of that. But if I have to arrest the weapon, I'm not done. That means the next thing is going to be all-out war on your face or whatever I can hit as many times as possible. So if I'm here and he wants to be aggressive and he doesn't want to let me through, I got a wall in my back. We're assuming I got a wall in my back. Because if I don't, then the chances are I'm going to back off. If he wants to come after me after I've backed off, well, he just forfeited his right to go away. You got to remember that when you're dealing with an attacker, your right to stay safe trumps his privilege of coming to you. He has forfeited his right to safety. He gave it up the second he decided to try and take yours away. Okay? That's the agreement. The agreement is, I'll back off and you back off. If I back off and you don't back off, well, I'm going to renege on my agreement. You forfeited your right to go away. And we're done. Now I'm going to go through you. Okay? Once you've gotten that into your head, it's easier to defend yourself because there are no more what-ifs. There's no more out. There's only through. Okay? And he made that decision for you. You're just agreeing to it. Okay? So, I'm here. He doesn't want to back off. That's it. I'm going to do a pivot like this. And I'm just going to come and clip the chin. Clip the chin. I'm just hitting the tip of the chin. Okay? Right there. Like I say, it's good to have this kind of a target because it tells you exactly where you need to hit. Okay. So, there's your hook punch. Slow it down, break it down. All you have to do is, if you're watching this, you simply have to rewind and go through it again and keep doing it. Repetition is key. Slow repetition. As you get better, quicken the repetition. But don't go all out so much you lose control of your skill set. Okay? Then you're just being sloppy and weak. That's what it is. When you're sloppy, you're weak. No matter who you are, if you're sloppy, you're weak. You don't get the job done. Okay? Now, let's see. We went through the hook punch today. We went through the straight palms. We went through the straight punches. Let's say we take the hook punch and we turn it into a palm sweep. Okay? It's the same idea as the hook, except my elbow stays down. Everything here stays the same. I make the palm, this part, tuck the thumb in. And when I hit, I bring it through, fingers to the ceiling. Fingers to the ceiling. I'm like this, okay? Hit my hand. Now my hand is a target. That's the way that I put my hand up. And then all I do is I just turn and I do a really hard vertical slap with the hardest part of the softest part of my hand. Okay? Here. This stings more than anything. Okay? My elbow stays down. I'm doing this kind of a churning motion. Okay? And I'm using my hip. So it actually is a good exercise for warming up too. Here, here, here. I'm warming up my legs too on my pivots as well. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, I'm keeping it short. Like somebody is just in my safe zone enough that they become a nice target. If they're even closer, if they're up nose to nose with me, different technique. This is where they're probably about 1.5 to 2 feet away from me. Okay, just enough to try and be intimidating, but they think they're still out of range of things. They're not out of range of anything. We have lots of ranges. They don't know that. Okay, so I take the same thing, and I'm here. I can do a square. I can do a bladed. The beauty of this is that I can do it completely square where they think that I have nothing to bring to the table. They're completely wrong. Okay, and my hands are here, and then all I do is I just bring the palm heel across his chin, and I cup the side of the front of his head, ahead of the ear. Okay, my thumb isn't going to make contact. My thumb stays to the outside. You can see my thumb right here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow through with my body weight. I'm here, and I'm just going to listen to the sound. It's a stinging, slappy sound. When you're hitting a piece of rubber like this, it does sting, so you get conditioning out of it. Okay? From here, same thing on the other side. Here. 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 You can do this from bladed stance lead or reverse. Takes so little energy to hurt somebody with this. Okay? Not to mention leaving a handprint. You could probably get fingerprints off of them. It's like what you see in the Karate Kid. You saw the drum technique where he's going like this. It's basically that. So, use the same basic structure as the hook punch and you turn it into a palm sweep. Okay? Still short. No further than this. No further than this. Okay? So, when we get through that, let's get into, if you're game enough, spinning back kick. Okay? You do the back kick like this. Someone's coming up behind you, and you're like, you're going to kick him in the ribs or something like that. Maybe. Maybe. But the best place to hit a back kick is right to the knee. Now, some people like to do the back kick with their heel down. Okay? They just keep their toes right to the floor. Okay, if that works for you. I like to keep my foot slightly cocked, almost like a side kick. For the same reason that a side kick works, because when the blade of the foot is near horizontal to a vertical target, there's less of a chance of you missing or sliding off. Okay? So even on higher targets, rather than kick with my foot down, I'd rather kick with my foot slightly angled. Okay? So I'm here, and I'll kick with my foot slightly angled. If I kick straight down, the chances of me hitting a vertical target with a vertical weapon is easy to slip inside or outside, and I can lose my balance like that. I really want to do it. So if I'm here, what I want to do is I need to drop my weight. I need to see my target. So look over your shoulder. Don't look under your armpit like some people do. Look over your shoulder. The range is pretty simple. You're about 3.5 feet away. And all you do is you just kick back. You want to aim right for the knee. This has more of a chance of hyperextending somebody's knee than a front kick does or a side kick does, because they don't see it coming. They'll take a step forward, you see it, you hit it. Okay? You can go higher, but it's a harder target to hit. Stay pragmatic. You can hit the hard target if you're good, but it's better to hit the easy target, especially if you're just starting out. Now, if I decide to make this into a spinning move, the first key is when I'm standing here, I'm not going to kick from here. I'm going to take this foot and I'm going to send it out and I'm going to twist and turn my back on you. People say, oh, don't turn your back on your opponent. Okay, don't turn your back on your opponent if you're going to stay there. But if you turn your back in a transition, you're going to be moving faster than their brain can usually catch up, especially if they don't know what they're talking about. If they're not trained, they're just hostile. Okay? So if you spin in a transition, as long as you're not tying your own feet up, you're going to be okay, especially because what you're doing is you're getting off the line. So if I'm here and the line is here, I'm stepping off that line. My foot's still on that line. So's the target. So when I step off the line and I see my target, I can hit from a near 45-degree angle that they're still on the line. Okay? I turn my body off the line to keep my weapon on the line, see it, and then I kick it. Okay? Does it work? Of course it works. You've seen it work all the time. Anybody who's ever watched MMA, you know, with all the things that a guy in MMA can do, the spinning back kick still works, even though it's considered a risky technique. It's only risky to people that don't know how to do it. The same with any technique. If you do not understand the technique, it's going to be risky or downright dangerous. If you know you can do it, if you have demonstrated you can do it, it's not so risky. It's not such a low percentage technique. Okay, a low percentage technique is a technique that works some of the time. Okay, but with more skill training and more understanding, you take a low percentage technique and turn it into a high percentage technique, because then it works most of the time. Anything can be a low percentage technique. If you want to throw a jab and don't know how to throw a jab, that's a low percentage technique. It's not because the jab doesn't work, it's because you don't know how to work it. Okay? It only takes one person proving that something works that everybody else said doesn't work, and then within a couple of weeks, everybody can seem to do it. There was a time when the spinning hook kick or the wheel kick, that will never work in the UFC. That will never work in the UFC. And then one fighter is able to pull it off spectacularly. Within 2 weeks, everybody can do it. Okay? There was a lot of knockouts with it after one person proved that it can work in the most easy, simple way. And within 2 weeks, there was at least 3-4 knockouts with it. Okay? So it only takes one person to prove it, and then everybody else can seem to do it. Okay, so if I'm on the line, and he's in front of me, and he takes a step forward, the best time to hit a guy is when they're stepping forward with something like this. Same thing with a side kick. If you catch them when they're stepping forward, they can't hit the brakes as fast as you can hit them. Okay? Their momentum is not in their control anymore. They have to stop to reverse. You don't have to do that. You're just going forward. All right? So, if I'm here, and he takes a step forward, I'm going to step off the line, clearing the target at the same time clearing my way from being his target as much as I can. So I'm here, I step outside his line, and then I kick. Okay? That's doing it slowly. It doesn't seem too powerful right now. I'll give you a demonstration of how strong it can be. Okay? So, if I'm here, Remember, look over your shoulder. If you can't see your target, you can't hit your target. Okay? So I'm here. I'm going to step off the line, and then I'm just going to snap the kick out like a horse would kick. It comes back and it drops. Okay? It does not hang out there. Do not hang your techniques. You hang them out to dry, you're going to get hung out to dry next. Okay? So I'm here. I step. And then you just jam it into whatever happens to be there. Again. One more time. And because that's heavy, it'll stand back up. An opponent, no such chance if it hits solid. Okay? So, that's good for today.